Welcome to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Hey, that's me. Hi, and welcome to Positive Talk. Our show features the best positive stories and people from around the globe as we endeavor to answer the universal question of why am I here and what is my purpose? Understanding that can change everything, and knowing your greatness is fundamental to living your best life. So join us right now as together we work to create the adventure of our lifetime.
Hi there, and welcome to Positive Talk Radio. I'm John Verico, and our principal host, Kevin McDonald, should be with us shortly. But we want to get things started with our guests tonight. And it's always so fun when we have the Passionistas here. So I want to bring Amy and Nancy Harrington to the stage and have them join us. Hi there, Amy and Nancy. How are you?
Good. How are you, John?
Doing terrific. Always. Every time I know that you guys are going to be on the show, then I know I'm going to have a good day.
We feel the same way about being here. So thank you.
So you guys are always so much fun, and you bring such positivity to the show, which is why it's Positive Talk Radio, because we have guests like you. And this is absolutely a terrific opportunity to get to find out more. And I'd like you just, before we bring our guest on, I'd like you to just take, about 30 seconds and tell our guests, maybe somebody who might be new to listening to the show, what the Passionistas Project is all about.
Sure. Yeah, we're an inclusive sisterhood online community where women can come and be their authentic selves and meet other women, meet other like-minded women and non-binary folks. And we have classes and courses and workshops, and so that women can better their lives and better the lives of the people around them. We have 3 pillars that we work with, which is business development. So it's a business networking community. But in addition to that, it's also about personal growth and social impact, because we feel that all 3 of those things really go hand in hand. So there's lots of amazing women in our community, as you know, because we bring one or 2 of them on every month. And it's a really beautiful space to come and feel safe and be your authentic self.
And, and I always learn so much from you and your guests. And maybe it's because, as my wife says, I'm in touch with my feminine side. I don't know. Maybe that's the key to all of it. But I am excited to hear about our guests tonight. So tell us who you're bringing with us.
Yeah, we are excited to bring this guest. We're bringing in Safriana Luna, who's a retired trauma therapist and author, speaker, transformational guide. She's the CEO of Living Luna, which is a brand committed to uplifting the others through education, community, and wellness services. And she does amazing work. She's also, when she takes self-care, she enjoys writing poetry and science fiction and playing video games. And she just is one of those people you can talk to for days on end and always find out something new and interesting about her. But the best thing to do is let her tell us a bit about herself. So when you want to bring her in, we'll let Safriana share her story.
Let's do it. Safriana, hi there. How are you?
Good. I'm riding the waves of the moon energy right now, and doing my best with the collective, because we are going through some stuff, but I personally am doing well. It's a delight to be here.
This is wonderful. I'm so glad that you were able to join us. And I have to say, Safriana is such a unique name. It's a beautiful name.
Thank you.
What is the derivation? What does it come from?
Yeah, so when I was 18, I was going through a pretty significant life shift, moving away from generational trauma and trying to really find myself. And at that time, I had already been going by the nickname Safriana online for 3 years. And I had this I'm not who I was born as, I'm rebranding myself. And so I started socially going by Safriana. It was just a name that I guess you could say kind of came in when I was making a screen name on an online game one day, and then it stuck. And that is my nerdy backstory about how my name actually comes from a video game. It's made up name, not a character in the game, but my own name. So
I love it. I just was wondering, how did you come up with these syllables to put them together, if it had any particular meaning, if it came from any mythology or anything like that. Because I always wonder when I see people with unique names. I met a young woman whose name was Abra, and I was like, "Oh, that's a very interesting name. What's the derivation of that?" And she said, "Hippie." I said, "Excuse me?" She goes, "Yeah, my parents were always drugged out. So my middle name is Kay and my last name is Deborah. So I'm Abracadabra."
I knew you were going to say.
Oh, man. Yeah, people are always like, wow, your mom gave you such a unique name. And I'm like, no, my mom gave me the name of her next door neighbor, and that's great. And it followed me until I was 15. And then I rebranded. And yeah, so Safi is my nickname, and it means pure, and Rihanna means nymph, like a water nymph.
There we go.
And my true self is a mermaid, so it fits. It's pure mermaid is what the name really means.
Okay, see, I knew there had to be something else to it. That's what we like to draw out here, trying to understand the true meaning behind what's going on in the world. So this is fabulous. Thank you. So you're a mermaid.
I am.
There you go. Have you talked to Dr. Melissa Bird about mermaids?
I know she has her mermaid sanctuary she's trying to build. Yeah, as soon as I saw that, Dr. Bird is just so incredible. She's got.
I just wanted to make sure you two had connected on that level.
Well, that is amazing. So tell us a little bit about your transition to becoming. Now, you were a trauma therapist originally.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that and the transition that you made from there.
Yeah, I was actually a public school teacher before I was a trauma therapist. So there's like layers to the story.
I see a tie to there too.
Yes, all of this like wanting to really help people in a deep way to grow, expand, learn, etc. And ultimately, the trauma therapy was great. I loved the work, but I didn't feel like I could go deep enough with people. So I had this sort of spiritual instance in early 2023. I had built my private practice very successfully, making, what we would consider decent money and all the metrics, right? And then Spirit was like, you're going to leave this all behind and you're going to like completely rebrand and do it all over. And I'm like, wait, what? Right after 2 degrees and being in these very traditional careers. And it was literally like I had all this resistance about it. And I went to Sedona. That's a whole other story. I didn't even know Sedona was a place until a few years ago. Like I lived in a hole. I had no idea. And then I found out this place called Sedona existed, and I said, oh, I want to go there. And within a year, I manifested going there. And it was one of my first big times ever traveling. And I went to this beautiful site called the Birthing Cave. And I climbed up into the Birthing Cave, and I was sitting there, and Spirit was like, you are leaving this therapy career. You're going exactly where you need to be. And I'm like, okay. So I came back and I announced to my clients I was leaving and transitioned them out over about 6 months. And the rest is history. Now we're here where we are, being a guide and CEO and focusing on the author stuff.
Well, that's amazing. So talking about manifesting, we said that Kevin would be coming and joining us momentarily, and we have manifested, and here he is.
It's an amazing thing. It really is.
Hello, Kevin.
It's a pleasure meeting you, and thank you, Nancy and Amy, for bringing her to us. I've been listening, and I love what I've been hearing. And can you tell us a little bit more about Sedona for those of us who haven't been there yet? It is a highly spiritual place.
Yeah. So first, I want to acknowledge that Sedona does not belong to tourists. So if you are going, please be very mindful and like very, very in tune with how sacred the land is, because it has become, unfortunately, like a touristy trap area. And the people that go there for the spiritual reasons can get so much out of it when they really walk in that honoring. So Sedona is in Arizona. It's where the big red rocks are. It is the most stunning thing you've ever seen. And there are so many powerful vortexes or vortices, however you want to say that, there that just are these intense spiritual portals, the Birthing Cave being one of them. I also got to go up to a tree portal above the Birthing Cave, and that was incredible. But it's just this you can feel the nurturing of the land. She really does have this presence, and you can anchor in that anywhere. In fact, that's part of my mission, is like helping people anchor in the beauty and the energy of their land that they are supporting and living with. But Sedona's so powerful because so many people have been there and in tune with it spiritually. And, you know, we see the indigenous caves that are there where the indigenous used to live and travel through. And like, it's just this incredibly powerful place. I've only been there twice. I don't know if I'm going to go back with that sort of tourism in mind. I'm like, I got to experience the magic. I think that everyone that can go experience the magic there at least once should do so if they can. Because it's this maternal, deeply nourishing land. Just beautiful.
So it's the intention with you set when you go there, which will provide you with the spiritual experience that you would really like to have.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, you know, because you could go there and be with a big group of friends and go out and hike and have a great time. And there's lots of tourist shops and locations. But when you know the nature, the beautiful places to go, and you have a guide. I have a very good friend who lives there half the year, and she literally guides people through. She's in communion with the land and takes them to all of the places and does very spiritually oriented stuff. And when you go there for that spiritual depth, I hosted a retreat there last year that was actually the 12-12 portal, which was all about inner child healing. And we were literally like dancing and drumming and all this inner child play, and the land just comes right up to meet you. It's stunning.
And John, I would like to thank you for taking control. How do you do, ladies?
Excellent. Excellent job.
Great day.
You were missed, of course, Kevin, your presence, but John took charge. It was beautiful.
Just wanted to get the show going because I was eager to see you and Nancy again, but also to finally meet Safriana. So I said, you know what? He'll get here when he gets here. You know, technology aside, it happens.
Yeah.
Well, and I have to let it be known that one of the reasons that John is here is because he can pronounce names that I have no shot. And one of them being your name. Would you repeat that, please?
Yes, Safriana Luna.
Oh, is Kevin frozen?
Safriana Luna. Okay, I got that. Maybe. We'll see.
He was either frozen or he was processing.
He was processing. I realized how he was processing. Safriana, when did you first get in touch with your spiritual side? Was that always something in your life growing up?
So it's a really interesting question. I have a gift called Earth Sense, which is a deep knowingness that the Earth herself is a consciousness, that she has energy she can give us. And I was very in tune with this as a small child. I actually have many poems I've written about this special maple tree. I call her Mother Maple, and like she raised me. I called her my mother. And I spent most of my time outside in the branches of this maple tree from the time I was probably about 4 until the time I was probably about 8.
And where was that? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, upstate New York. I actually, I grew up in upstate New York, and then when I was 9, I moved to Maryland, and unfortunately, that's when my trauma really began, and that cut me off from that gift. So my spirituality became very modern church focused. It became very like, I started going to a Baptist church with the unfortunate toxic family I moved in with as a child, and there was all of this like religious indoctrination. So when I was 18 was when I got back in touch. When the name change happened, I literally woke up one day and I went, I'm a druid. I don't know what that means, but I'm a druid. And then I started doing research into what the heck that meant. And it's an earth, honoring the earth. And it made a whole lot of sense. But there was this big span from like 8 to 18, 10 years where there was just so much stuff on my plate as a child that shouldn't have been on my plate that I couldn't keep that connection going. Like I had to protect myself and try and keep myself safe, which meant cutting off all that extra information I was getting in. So yeah, it wasn't a smooth sailing journey. And then I had to uncouple the religion from spirituality. And that took years. That took years and years and years.
Well, we get indoctrinated when we are kids into what we should believe and what is right and what is wrong. But the interesting thing is that you reached out to your guides and the other folks that are out there protecting you and working with you. It is really remarkable, and I really wanted you to touch on. There are lots and lots and lots of. Did I say lots? I mean lots of people that are in your.
Just a few lots.
Just a few lots that are in that place where what they used to do doesn't work for them anymore, and they're looking for a new way of being, a new way of living, but they have no earthly idea how to reach out and how to get that done. How did you reach out to? Now, you were natural at it, but if you were somebody that was like I was when I was 42, and my thing was, why am I really here? What am I here to do? This doesn't seem like it. If it is, I'm highly disappointed. So how do you suggest people who are interested in understanding that reach through it and to attain that level that they're looking for?
Yeah, so the first thing that comes up for me is understanding that indoctrination piece is a very extreme word, right? And in some cases that's it. And in some cases it's just stories that we've heard that, nobody like shoved down our throat. We just heard it so many times that we started to believe it. So understanding and beginning to unpack some of the main stories that we're carrying around about religion, spirituality, ourselves, our souls, and kind of just starting to get curious. What do I already believe and where did that come from? And did it come from in here when I tune in and I like just breathe and be with myself and ask myself if this feels nourishing and aligned and alive for me? Am I getting a big resounding yes? Or am I getting fear and like, I have to contract, I can't move away from this? So just acknowledging where you're really starting from in terms of your belief system. And if there is a place to begin doing something completely different than you were probably taught, it's to start actually looking outside and look at what's happening in nature, because that informs us spiritually so much, right? If it's spring and everything's blooming, we have more energy to do and we want to lean into the doing. If it's the dead of winter, spiritually, we're feeling the darkness and we're feeling that like, oh, I want to slow down and kind of go within. And all of our modern capitalistic holidays don't really honor that flow. So it's look outside. Is your inner world reflecting the outer world? I think that that's a big place that we all need to start, because we become so disconnected from nature and what the planet is doing around us.
And what we are doing to the planet.
Oh, don't get me started on that one.
I was just going to say, you're going to start that one because there's so many things, so many places we can go with that.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've felt the like winding down. Dr. Bird and you have both said this to us, like winter is about slowing down and giving yourself space. And I think we're all rushing toward, got to wrap everything up for the end of the year. We got to get ready for the next year. We got to get all our Christmas presents. And it's just such a intense, hurried time. And really all I know I want to do is just like curl up in bed and feel the emotions.
But do we want to slow down and isolate, or do we want to slow down and cuddle and share warmth?
It depends on the day.
I was going to say both. Why not both, right?
Yeah.
Well, and also who you're going to cuddle with, for heaven's sakes. I mean,
well, there's that. There's that.
That does make a difference.
If it is my dog, if I had one, it would be him or her and stuff. By the way, we're talking with
Safriana Luna, who is a special guest brought to us from the Passionistas, Amy and Nancy Harrington. And I say them in that order only because it's alphabetical, not because either one has priority.
To that order. That was
we decided that a long time ago that we had to go alphabetical.
That's so funny because I all the time I'm like, I need to remember to switch which one I put first when I talk to them. I'm very inclusive. I want everyone to feel included.
Awesome.
Well, I do too. That's why I had to specify why I did it that way.
Whenever people say Nancy and Amy, I'm like, that doesn't sound right.
Amy and Nancy.
We have a niece We have a niece that when she was a couple years old, she used to call us Amy Nan, like we were one person, Amy Nan. So we kind of got used to that.
We also will answer if you call us the wrong name. We will answer to that name without any hesitation.
I'll answer to just about anything, but that's me.
My brother and I are 4 years apart from each other, and my mother referred to us as Rajan or Jarab.
Yeah.
My brother Robert. Yeah, because she never could, and especially when she was angry, she didn't know which one she wanted to yell at.
Yeah.
When my brother and I were, this is an old joke, but when my brother and I were growing up, we couldn't decide whether we were either Jesus Christ or God damn it. And who was which? You know, it's like, Jesus Christ, would you settle down? And stuff like that. We need to
I'm going to guess that you were God damn it.
Mostly. I was goddamn it, go to your room.
I didn't have a name. I had a forehead slap.
That's the commercial, Kevin.
We need to. I'm trying. I really am. We're got to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Stay right with us. This is an intriguing conversation. Are you looking for a powerful way to grow your brand while making a real difference? Well, Positive Talk is the perfect platform to align your message with inspiration, hope, and meaningful conversations. By sponsoring Positive Talk, your brand will reach an engaged audience that values positivity and connection. People who want to support companies that share their values. Take this opportunity to showcase your business in a space that uplifts, inspires, and creates lasting impact. Don't wait. Email me, kevin@kmmedia.pro today to learn how you can partner with us and spread positivity while growing your brand. And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. John Verico is with me, and he's going to announce who we've got on the show today because I can't.
We have Amy Harrington and Nancy Harrington of the Passionista Project, and they have brought us the wonderful Safriana Luna.
And Safriana, I got to tell you, you are, I love you. I love your energy. I love your spirit. I love everything of what you are doing. Tell us a little bit about your business and how you're helping people live their lives a little bit better.
Yeah, so my brand is called Living Luna. That's our DBA. We're officially Luna Counseling and Creative Services because we're co-owned by 2 licensed therapists. And we bring healing, education, community to people through our community spaces, through courses, through one-on-one services. And I do bi-monthly completely free moon calls for the public online that are live streamed that anyone can drop into and have that spiritual integration time. So that's really how we serve, is by creating and building community spaces and inviting people into those spaces where they can be themselves. As shared earlier in my bio, our slogan is uplifting the others, and that's what we really stand behind, right? Others with a capital O, to me, represents all of the people that have been marginalized, which really are most of us in some way, right? None of us are completely above board on the privilege scale, but we all have had some kind of experience of feeling othered. And so we're here to normalize that and actually show that we're really just one big, unified, loving, happy family, if we could let ourselves be. So much of what we do is try to educate specifically about generational trauma and spirituality. Really just this self-reclamation is the biggest thing that I think we are about as a brand. And like I said, we're doing it mostly online now. We do have in-person events, and we both take one-on-one clients in a variety of ways. So that's how we're doing it right now. And who knows what the future will bring, because Spirit likes to give me downloads to change it up.
Cool? I love it. I like how the fact that you call it uplifting the others. So common sense would say, oh, she's uplifting others. But no, it's the others, not only as a proper noun, others, but the others, just really isolating that it is a specific group, which really is, and like you said, all of us, because everyone has been marginalized for some reason, for some capacity, because Lord knows, the human race is very judgmental. So I was marginalized as a kid for being the little guy in school. I was 5'3", weighed 110 when I graduated at the age of 18. Now I'm marginalized for being old and fat. So, I mean, we can't, and I'm marginalized for being white. I can't help that. There's lots of things, but everybody is marginalized at some point in their life. And the fact that you can point that out and say, hey, it's not just the privileged.
Yeah, so many intersections for us to look at and to understand that we're all having our own human experience, and that includes suffering. So I always like to say there's already enough pain in the world from illness and death and, natural disasters that we don't need to cause each other more suffering.
And I love the work that you're doing because I call it the 7-generation cycle. And you're nodding your head vigorously. That you obviously know what that means.
I know exactly what you mean.
Well, so explain it to our audience.
Yeah, so the 7-generation cycle, this theory that when we do our healing work, we're healing 7 generations forward and 7 generations back, and that there is this impact on us 7 generations back and 7 generations forward. And we like to minimize our impact, right? I am here to help people see how much impact that they can have. And when one person in a family stands up and starts to say, I know this is how we've always done it, but have you considered this other alternative path where we don't do this awful thing to each other anymore, right? And then that has that ripple effect. And, I've really anchored into, because I don't have biological children and don't plan to have them, that we still are doing that forward generational healing work, even if we don't have kids, by doing the healing work and representing it. To others so that they know it's an option and they can bring that into their family systems. So everybody has a role to play in this, every single person.
Ladies?
I would like to hear more about the moon events that you do.
The same thing.
Okay, so every new moon and every full moon, usually about on the day. Sometimes I go a little early if it's like on a weekend, but I do a new moon and a full moon call twice a month, unless we have that third moon in the month, which we do sometimes. And I follow the same formula every single time. So nervous systems can be very anchored in. I try to be very trauma informed, even though the work that I end up channeling often is very intense. The one that just happened for this Gemini moon, man, it was brutal with the shadow work. And I'm like, afterwards, I'm like, oh, I'm really sorry to everyone who just dove unexpectedly into the shadow there. But every single call, I do like an energy update. So I just say what I'm feeling energetically in the collective. I'll pull in some of the astrological insights. Like, for example, right now, right here now, we are in Mars retrograde, which is really doing some crazy things. And then I go into encouraging everyone to set some intentions. So I throw some intention starter statements in the chat and kind of say, like, maybe you want to set an intention around self-care, maybe around, kind of the themes of the moon. And then I do an energy clearing. I do smoke cleansing. I made my own cleansing wand here with feathers I found. And so I do an energy clearing for everybody. And then I go into a channeled guided meditation. And I always tell people, like, you can dance during this, you can sketch. People have sent me pictures of these gorgeous art pieces they've done during the calls, because I don't make them close their eyes and do anything. That's the cool thing. It's me on the screen. There's no background noises. There's no one else that can pop in. So people can have a very, private experience. So I do the guided meditation, and then I pull cards for the collective. So usually about 3 cards I'll pull and kind of give another channel download of what that's bringing through for us over the next few weeks. And then we wrap it up, and it's donation based. You don't have to donate if you don't want to, but it's been completely free and open to the public for about a year now. Might be going on a year and a half, actually. So this is like my heart offering that I've been very consistent in, because it lights me up. Like, even if no one happens to get on live, I'm so excited I'm doing it, because I'm getting something out of it. And that's a huge thing that I try to teach other people. I know that there's a lot of business people who listen to this. If your business is from your joy first, you're going to be able to have that longevity and serve so much better. So when I really anchored in these moon circles, it felt so good, because I knew I could be consistent with it, because it was for me first. So that's what I love about them. Like, I'm excited to see what downloads through. I'm excited to see what cosmic energies are gonna show up in the space. It's a lot of fun.
Now, if I could be so bold, what I'd like to say is that sometimes people don't understand when we're talking about channeling or we're talking about energy work. They don't understand really my son is this way. He is a diesel mechanic by trade. So he doesn't understand when we're talking about energy and energy transference and being able to pick up the energy of the planet and what's going on. He doesn't get any of that until a gentleman came on and he said, your energy experience is like a transducer. Everybody know what a transducer does?
No.
John, you're a man.
Explain it.
I had no idea either, so I had to ask him. A transducer is what takes energy from a form of like talking into your microphone into the energy that it takes to send it out elsewhere. And there's another transducer at the other end who then picks up that energy and transduces it back, if that's even a word, and takes it back even into reality and back into the spoken word. I'd like to for everybody to think about your car radio. You turn it on, you don't know how it works, but there are no wires to go to where it comes from. It's just it turns it in. That's because the transducer at one end is turning it into energy and is bringing it forward to the other end and then making it sound or music again. And that he seemed to get. And so from my perspective, your transducer is more tuned in than most because you allow it to be. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. And, I love that you said allowing it to be, because that's still an ongoing process for me.
Right.
When I mentioned that, like religious trauma, I remember getting my first card deck, like an oracle or a tarot card deck. And I was convinced that I was going to get struck down by lightning, like on the spot. I was like, okay, please don't. And now, of course, I have a totally different relationship with it. And I'm like, this is literally a tool. No one, like, evil cannot come through this tool unless I let it come through this tool. So I'm not going to do that. And I get to move on from that. But the allowing the messages, it's really been, a lot of people have no idea about this, but it was actually only about 3 years ago that my intuition like came back online. Because again, trauma, that dampens things. Yes, there was spiritual awakening. I was doing the rhythms of the planet and the holidays in that way. But the psychic type stuff was completely capped until I allowed myself, okay, can we let in like a little bit? And I'm still letting in a little bit and letting in a little bit and letting in a little bit. Over the last 2 years, it's been like rapid fire. I started actually being able to like be a medium and hear past ancestors. I started speaking in glossolalia or tongues or light language. That was weird. And then I started getting these like channeled messages where I'd hear a guide. That's all very recent, actually. I was rooting the spirituality, I think, into my body first and foremost through the tools, the tangible, and the ritual. And then it was like, okay, now you're ready for the unseen element that's up here. And I think it's really important to acknowledge that, like your son, there are people on this planet that don't have access to that stuff. It does not land for them. It's about 5 to 10% of the population, but there are people that just are like, yeah, y'all do your thing. I don't get it. And another thing is that how we receive energy, I mentioned that earth sense gift and that like ability to kind of thread through the earth, but everyone is either empathic or energy sensitive or has that earth sense or some combination of the three. Not everyone can tell what other people are feeling. Not everyone is an empath. Energy sensitives can pick up on vibrations in spaces and like emotional qualities, but not an actual emotion. And a lot of our energy sensitives have no clue what we're talking about when we're talking about emotional depth and spirituality stuff from that lens. So there's so many different ways to approach the spiritual with people because they have different gifts.
And a lot of times I think people don't recognize the fact that they have those gifts.
Mm-hmm.
No,
or they suppress them.
They ignore them.
They really don't. As a matter of fact, I'm sending you a telepathy, John, that we need to take a break. But when we come back, I would be honored if you would use your gifts. I would love to see what my father, who's responsible for this, would have to say to you about us. Can we do that?
Sure. I'll see what comes through.
We'll be right back after this. I'm excited now.
You're listening to Brushwood Media Network, the best in syndicated talk, news, and entertainment shows.
Okay, so Sarah, I'm dropping you off at Emily's?
Yep.
And Josh, you're going to?
Soccer, Dad. Soccer practice.
Right. Oh, by the way, I just wanted to let you know when I pick you both up, I'll be wearing my short shorts.
What?
No!
Yep, and my dorky dad hat, and I'm gonna do my dad dance for all your friends. They'll love it!
Seriously? Why?
Because I like my short shorts. Of course, I could be talked out of it if you guys would just buckle up your seatbelts without giving me a hard time.
It's important to get your kids to buckle up for safety, no matter what it takes. And sometimes, all it takes is your parental powers of persuasion.
Okay, we're buckling up.
See, all buckled.
Good choice. I'll just have to do my dad dance at dinner time. What?
No!
Do what you have to make sure your kids are wearing their seatbelts, even on short drives. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. Visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup for more information.
I love that commercial.
I think I need John to be my engineer. And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. John Verico's with me. The Passionista Project sisters are here, and we're going to talk about the sister project in just a minute. But first, John.
Our guest, Safriana Luna.
Golly, you're good at that. You must be in broadcasting or something. So Miss Luna, I would love to hear what, if anything, and no pressure at all, but what my dad would have to say about, and to fill people in that don't know. My dad passed away 15 years ago, but he was interested in the work that I was doing, and then he made it possible for me to be able to fund this project with his money that he had passed on, and my mother's passed on now as well. And so, but this, I had considered this his legacy. That this, all the 900 and some odd shows that we're doing, the association with you guys and stuff, are all part of, because he's on the other side, and I know that he knows now. He didn't know when he was here, but he knows now. But do you get any sense from him?
Yeah, so I was just clearing my energy while we were listening to the commercial break, just to give me a clearer channel. So what was his name?
His name was Jack. Or John.
Jack or John. Okay. I'm getting Jack. So yeah, I'm getting immediately just this, there was this kind of golden white energy that came down over my shoulders. And it is this deep gratitude and like a really healthy pride, because he did, I'm getting goosebumps. He knew that this was something really important. He did not understand while in a human embodied form, like what it was going to take on or what it was going to mean. But this is that 7 generations work right here. And yeah, he's just like, keep going, because he's able to see, when we pass on, we don't have this human ego thing anymore. That is removed. And all of that human ego is not filtering the message anymore. And it's this overflowing light of like, I'm really proud of what you're building and grateful that you're building it, because it's going to have this ripple effect. And there's an element of like the variety of people that you have interviewed and the collaborations that you're making. He feels it's really special that you are building this huge like web of people all coming together to try and be uplifting, be more positive, and have real human connections. And there's this acknowledgement that it's imperfect. Like, I'm just getting this strong, like, it's not perfect and it doesn't have to be. So anytime that if there is a little nag, like, oh, that didn't go as well as it could have, or the tech was being crazy or whatever, like, he's like, don't ever worry about that, because the impact and the power of what you're doing is so much more important than any of those societal or egoic measurements. So that's what came in as I was just tuning in there.
And I just have to tell you real quick that for those of you that are skeptical, not cynical, because if you're cynical, there's nothing we can do for you.
You're probably not listening to this show, so
probably not. But if you're a little skeptical, my dad was known as John W. McDonald for most of his life. Later on in life, they found out that his name wasn't John on his birth certificate. It was Jack. And see, you called it because John over there, Mr. Verico's eyebrows are raised, because it was like, she called it. That's what it was. And his name was actually Jack. And but he, in his birth certificate all his life, it was John W.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love those synchronicities, because, you know, my human ego is still here. I'm in a human body, right? So I'm always having to filter through that to get the core of the message. And I love when someone shares like a synchronicity, because, like I said, a lot of this is very new to me, like very new in the scheme of things. And so that validation that I've gotten from people of little synchronicities like that, or, you know, I pick up a pain on their right shoulder and that's exactly where it is. Like, those kinds of things are where we get to move out of the skepticism a little bit, because I say be skeptical, right? Be skeptical. That's healthy. When I was a teacher, I used to tell my students all the time, question everything. Do not take anything just because someone said that's how it is, including me. And I made their parents very mad. It's probably a reason I didn't last in the teaching world. It was not the kids. It was not the kids. But we have to question everything, because otherwise, you know, the wool gets pulled over our eyes and we get fooled into very dangerous things. I try to take a very grounded approach to spirituality.
Well, it was amazing to witness.
Amy and Nancy, I got to tell you, because I've interviewed John Holland, John Edward, and many other psychics. She's as good as any of them.
Oh yeah,
and she's very talented, and she's very grounded, and stuff. So, John, what did you think of that? Have you seen that before?
Yeah, and I mean, it was beautiful. It really was, and I like the fact that. Probably the most important message that came from all of that is, don't worry about it being imperfect, right? Mm-hmm. Just to go forward, because we're having the impact, and the imperfection makes it more of a connection anyway, because nothing is perfect. We don't want to come across too polished, for crying out loud, because people won't believe it's real.
Yeah. I also love, for people that are only listening and aren't seeing this, they should go back and watch it on YouTube, because I loved how Safriana would be conveying what she was picking up, but then she would just stop and smile, like, oh, wait. And like, you really felt the emotion of what you were. If someone were just making this up, if you are skeptical, if someone were just making this up, it was a hell of a performance. Because I could see that you were hearing something.
She was listening. Yes.
Really powerful. And it showed on your face. Yeah,
Thank
you.
You.
Beautiful. It was beautiful.
Yeah, she was responding to things that she was hearing that we were not,
right.
You know, and then relating it. But it's the same as if we were listening. If we were listening to another comment, like, I'm on the phone with somebody, and you're waiting for the answer, and that person is telling me, and I'm like, and then turning around and relating it. So that was exactly the way it looked to me. So it's beautiful. It was a thing of beauty. It really was.
It was really, and you're really talented, and I wanted to ask you, because I have a real good friend. She was on the show in 2003. She's a psychic medium, and the way she described it is, she has a guide who's a gatekeeper, and the gatekeeper. Oh, see, she's nodding again. See, and the gatekeeper, what he does, she described it like it's a phone booth. And in order to get into the phone booth, you have to get in. Samuel is his name. and you have to get Samuel's permission to get into the phone booth to talk to her. And if she doesn't, if you don't pass muster with Samuel, you don't get to talk to her. Does that ring true for you?
That makes total sense. That's not quite how it works for me, because there's so many different kinds of clairs and ways that we receive information. I do have a guide similar to that. My friend Red and I do a podcast. We talk about all kinds of woo stuff. And we were recently talking about librarian guides. Librarian guides are the ones that kind of help us retrieve the information. So I have one of those guides. The way that I interface is very different, but that description of what your friend was saying about Samuel totally makes sense. And yeah, it's like you are, again, I know that my human ego is going to exist here. I'm not going to pretend it's not. I can clear it and I can be like, hey, don't bother me while I'm doing this, please. But it's still going to be there, versus a guide isn't going to have that kind of filter. So when I'm channeling or when I'm receiving information, for me, it's a knowing that drops in. So I just get oh yeah, that's the answer. It just drops in. I actually have something called aphantasia, so I don't really see in my brain. I don't have pictures in my brain. So I just get those, I know this, or I hear the words. And so with Jack, it was very sensation based. And that's why I was having to actually like filter the sensations for some of the words that were coming through, because that was how most of the information was being provided. And it was a very overwhelmingly like glowing feeling from him of just like, keep going, like you're doing the thing, like that I knew that you would. And yeah, it was just a very, very a loving feeling.
He was a very special man, but not when he was alive necessarily.
That's that ego thing.
Indeed. And Amy and Nancy, I really thank you. I owe you guys a lot for bringing her here. I'm going to say Miss Luna because I'm never going to get your first name correctly.
It's fine. Sapphire. Rihanna, the pop singer, or the pop singer. Rihanna. That's how I get people.
Rihanna. Okay, I got it. Thank you, Rihanna. But I want to thank you too, because what you are building in association with what we are building is a group of people called the Sisterhood, and you are working to bring every woman together, regardless of where they come from and their race and who they are, to be part of your sisterhood. Explain how that got started and what you're doing with it.
Let's do that when we come back from this final break that we have to take.
Oh, you're gonna be that way, are you? All right, let me find one here. Then let's see. Let's see. I've got it.
This is that "don't worry about perfection" part.
This is that part again. Well, let's just do this. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Positive Talk Radio. We're going to take a short break to tell you audio and music creators about our commercial affiliate, Lyric Vids, specializing in creating amazing and engaging lyric videos. Are you looking to promote your videos in the most engaging way, but you don't have an animator and an editor? Whether you're an artist, musician, or business with a message to share, our lyric videos are designed to hook viewers and amplify your reach. Go to positivetalkradio.net/lyric vids. That's positivetalkradio.net/LYRICVIDS now to get started. Welcome back to Positive Talk Radio. We hope you enjoyed learning about our affiliate Lyric Vids, who specialize in creating.
And welcome back to Positive Talk, everybody. That is the weirdest thing I've ever seen so far today, but you never know, and those things happen.
It goes back to that whole not perfect thing, which is absolutely perfect.
Well, the interesting thing that I've learned is that energy can do amazing things, especially when it is brought to you by somebody on the other side who understands how to negotiate things. And John, you'll understand this because we just switched channels on StreamYard to the other channel that doesn't have the things that were, and I didn't do anything. I promise I didn't in any way. So it's just amazing that the energy that can be floating about, and you feel it when you're watching this episode and you go to YouTube, and you see all of us here. You see a bunch of smiling faces, but you also feel the energy that is involved here, and it's really cool. And part of that is what Nancy and Amy have done, or Amy and Nancy have done with the sisterhood. And talk a little bit about the sisterhood, if you will.
Go for it, Nan.
Well, the sisterhood is a beautiful community of women like Safriana. Amy and I are blessed every single day by what we do, because we get to interact daily with people like Safriana. It's just a beautiful community where women can come together and support one another and uplift one another, and they can be their true, authentic selves. And you asked how it started, and it started back around the time of the Me Too movement, when Amy and I decided that we wanted to launch a podcast to tell the stories of women who are doing powerful, incredible things. And it has grown over the years into a movement, and into this beautiful space where women can come and be themselves and help one another.
Yeah. And I just want to add that Safriana is a huge part of the community, and we're so grateful for that. Sarah Finns introduced us about a year ago, probably, and I can't imagine the community without Safriana and Sarah, for that matter. So we're just super grateful that you share your powers and your talents and your beautiful soul with us.
Thank you. It's a beautiful space, genuinely. I've been in a lot of communities, and I'm a community builder. That's what I do. And your community is the one that I want to spend more time in. Genuinely.
You.
John, isn't it fun to, now that he's only been with me a couple of months, so he hasn't had the experiences of all the people, but aren't you impressed with the quality of the individuals and the mission that they're on to do great things? And I know that you are, but I want to ask you anyway.
It's why I'm here. I mean, that's really what it comes down to, is it's why I'm here. You know, you talk about, you know, having that call that happens at different points in your life. You know, that mine was delayed. You know, and it came now.
Well, and Safriana,
your transition was at what, age 42, Kevin, is when you made that, you had that epiphany, right? So here I am. I had to wait till I was almost 66 to do it. So,
well, I'm really hopeful that you don't have to have the bad country music song period that I had in between then and now, because I'm hoping you kind of skipped over all of that.
Well, I did that in my 20s. So,
okay. Well, I did too, but I kept on coming and happening. And then when I started Positive Talk Radio originally, all the people that were in my life were saying, and Safriana, I said it right, I think.
You did.
I want you to comment on this, because everybody that was in my life, that when I started Positive Talk and was doing 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, I'd been a district sales manager and had a good salary and all of that, had the house, had the kids, had the dog and the cat, and unfortunately had the wife, but that's another story. But what I did was nobody believed it. And if they did, they were like, oh, now Kevin, you know, you've got kids, you've got a wife, you can't go off like this. Yeah, you got to do the right thing by it all. And so in the course of doing this, and I fell in love with it and talked to people like Neil Donald Walsh and Gary Zukoff and people like that, I learned that the energy with which you radiate with can change. And when it does, the people that you used to radiate with no longer do that anymore. And all those people are gone. They're not dead. They're just gone out of my life, you know, but I'm eternally grateful for that. And when you are working with like the Passionistas and the sisterhood, they vibrate at a higher level for each other. So it makes it a great group of people to get together. Am I wrong, or is that okay?
I would say that that's accurate. The baseline is, can we talk about things? Like, can we talk about hard things together? And that's, the Passionistas, yes. And it sounds like some of the people in your past, unfortunately, couldn't, right? Because that's the thing with positivity and moving towards, higher levels, is we have to acknowledge the shadows that we've walked through and will continue to walk through in order to keep climbing the ladder, right? It's like if you picture a ladder, the rungs that you're actually putting your hands on are the 3D, the lived experience, but the gaps between that blank space is all of our emotions and our shadows and our fears. We can't really skip over that. We have to pass through to rise to that next level up. And I think that the Passionistas are willing to have challenging conversations. And my sense here is that, you're willing to have conversations about things that people normally wouldn't talk about. And that scares people who aren't ready to climb that ladder.
Yeah. That is a beautiful analogy of the ladder, by the way.
Yeah.
It's interesting because we get emails all the time, and some of them are like, you had that, psychic person on the other day. Could you bring them back? We like them. And there are people.
The letters come in with a Southern accent, by the way.
They
do. They do.
But there are things that we do that people have never heard before.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important for them to research you and to find out what it is that you do and how it is that you do, and find out all of that, because it's really, really important for them to live their lives to their fullest, I believe.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Hey,
so,
Amy and Nancy, thank you so much for bringing Safriana to us, and thank you for what you do every day and the gifts that you are sharing with the world. It's amazing. I love when I can be on the show with you guys. So thank you once again. And it's unfortunate that when we get together, the time goes by so incredibly fast. And we do have to wrap this show up, but I can't wait till the next time we see you in 2 weeks. And then Safriana, we'd love to have you back on the show too at some point.
Yeah, you got my email. I'll be here.
Yes, ma'am. We will. And John is the hall monitor of the show, so he makes sure that we hit the timing and stuff. But the cool thing is, you're going to be on the Brushwood Media Network. We've also got a TV network that we are working with now. So, and that's why we have to be rather strict about the time and stuff. So you're going to be famous, kid.
Well, I've got plenty of stuff. If people want backlogs of podcasts or written content or anything, it is there for eons. If you want to,
where is it? Tell us where it is.
Yeah. So Living Luna's with an S at the end.com links to all of our stuff. And then Safriana.com links to all of my personal stuff. But right now we're mainly hosted on YouTube in terms of our video content. We do have our Living Luna podcast seasons 1 and 2 out on the podcast networks right now. And yeah, we have a Discord community, which is where we hang out and chat and share memes and uplift each other.
And Nancy and Amy and Nancy, your podcast, how you can be found.
You have official permission to start with Nancy if you want. I'm just saying.
I'll forgive you.
But people can find us at thepassionistasproject.com, and it's got all the links there.
Say that again.
Thepassionistasproject.com.
And John, would you like to take us out, sir?
I would love to. My budget's a little tight, so is Chinese okay?
Oh, there's a story.
As long as we just want appetizers.
Yeah, there's a story about that in our personal life. We've had so many tragedies during Christmas. We have thought that Chinese food is what you eat at Christmas.
That's what I eat at Christmas. So
my brother announced that, by the way. Hey, thanks again, everyone. You've been listening to Positive Talk Radio with Kevin McDonald. I'm John Verrigo. Our guests tonight were the Passionista sisters, Amy Harrington and Nancy Harrington, and our special guest was Safriana Lunas. I hope you enjoyed listening to our show, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Our purpose is to provide everyone with a positive, entertaining, and educational experience. I would love your feedback and comments about the show, including possible topics and great guest suggestions. Please email me at kevin@kmmedia.pro. And remember, be kind to one another because each other's all we've got. That's Kevin at kmmedia.pro.